Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. Today we're here with Judy Zhou of New York City. Welcome, Judy. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. So I met Judy very briefly the other day on a phone call. We were introduced by our mutual coach, Kim Ritberg, and she is a video camera online coach, social media coach. And I'll have to say, I was scrolling through your Instagram, and you really have taken advantage of all she taught you. You're a natural. I have to say, I worked with her and I took in what she had to say, but I still can't get used to doing an Instagram and talking on the camera. All of a sudden, my mind goes blank and I have nothing to say. But when I'm asking questions to other agents like yourself, I can nonstop talk because I'm so interested in what other people have to say. So you've really taken advantage and you're doing a fantastic job. And I just, well, we'll get into your story, and I won't say anything until we do. So before we dive in, let's learn more about Judy. Judy's mission is to enhance her clients' lives, which, according to her New York University professor James F. Gilligan defines love. Her deep understanding of the luxury market, combined with her natural emotional intelligence that effortlessly puts clients at ease, sets Judy and the award-winning Grace Chang team, of which she is a part member a part is a member apart sets them apart. Led by a real estate veteran with over 40 years of experience, this top producing team, including Judy, prides itself on delivering bespoke service designed to not only meet but exceed each client's unique expectations. Judy's mission is driven by the joy and gratification she finds in being a trustworthy advisor during life changing events, guiding clients to make decisions that financially empower them and enhance their quality of life. Managing her family's real estate portfolio and interacting with tenants, contractors, attorneys, and accountants has honed her problem solving and attentive listening skills. Judy also founded and grew an industry recognized translation agency for over 6 years, bringing her meticulous attention to detail and effective communication skills to real estate transactions. She understands that real estate decisions can be personal and emotional, and she is attuned to the emotions of her clients and other parties involved to ensure smooth transactions. Raised in China and the UK, Judy moved to New York to study at NYU and found her home here. She lives in the Upper East Side, Brownstone, with her husband and two tuxedo cats, whom adopted them from an ASPCA van in Central Park. In her free time, she enjoys yoga on her roof deck, playing tennis on the Riverside clay courts, hiking in the Catskills, and dancing tango in Central Park. I love that. You have a lot of hobbies, and that's super cool. I love that. Tango. So tell me about that. I want to start there. How did you find yourself doing tango? And then are you doing that with your husband, or do you have other partners that like to enjoy tango?
It's a great question. I first found tango through the beautiful music of Astor Piazzolla when I was in high school in England. I found a CD of it and I just kept listening to it. And throughout my college lives, I was too busy to think that I could learn how to do it. But after I graduated college, I actually found this tango school called Sergio, strictly uh, strictly Tango NYC, taught by Sergio Segura. So it was
Oh,
2013. I enrolled in one of his classes, and I'm still in his class today with my husband. And he actually choreographed our wedding dance last year. We practiced for six
oh,
months.
that's
So
amazing. That
it's a
is
beautiful
beautiful.
dance.
That's incredible. I'd love to see it. So let's go back. One of the things that just fascinated me about you was that um, you started in China. How old were you when you were in China, and then how old were you when you got to England, and then to New York City? I mean, that's a big transition in your life, I'm sure.
Yes, I grew up in China until I was 14. I have finished my freshman year of high school and I went to the UK, to England, and that was 3 years. And when I was almost 18, I came to, actually, I turned 18 and then I came to NYU.
Wow, that's incredible. And so you seem so American, and you did live abroad for a while. How did you change so easily? It just seems like, I mean, you lived in two different places. I know England is speak English, but how was it, and how was it for your parents moving?
My parents didn't move to England with me, but when I was in college, my mom actually moved to New York City. I think after my sophomore year. So it's a big adjustment for both of us when she came because all of a sudden, not just a college student who could go out and see my friends all the time. My mother is like, "When are you gonna come over for dinner?" I didn't have that since I was 14. And I
Oh
hadn't had it for
gosh.
6 years. I was 20 years old when she moved to the same
Oh
city
my.
as me again. Yes,
So after NYU, so you graduated NYU, and did you go right into real estate, or did you have a career prior to real estate?
not right into real estate. I actually worked as a assistant to four law professors at NYU Law. I was thinking of journalism school and law school. I actually got into Columbia Journalism School, but I postponed it for a year, to deferred it for a year, thinking that maybe I will apply to law school as well. At the end of that year, working at law school, I decided that I didn't want to go to law school. I audited a lot of classes. It was very hard. Property law, didn't understand. And being cold called was very stressful. So I moved back to Hong Kong actually for a year
Oh,
and worked as a translator in a very boutique law firm. And I also helped organize events. I was an event planner, marketing person. And then I decided to set
okay.
up my own translation company so that I can serve more than one client. And my former boss was very gracious and he decided that he was going to be my first client for my own translation company.
Oh. Oh, so from Hong Kong, then you moved. So well, how long were you in Hong? Only a year. Then you moved back to New York.
I was back in the Guangzhou, the Canton, Hong Kong area for about 3 years. So I moved
Oh, three.
back to New York in 2016. And I continued to run my translation business from New York until after the pandemic, until 2021. That's when I got into real estate as a full time career. But throughout my 20s, I would help my mother with some of her rental properties and help liaise with tenants, help translate some documents, help with
Yeah.
dealing with CPAs, etc. Always with translations. This is the
Always.
story. Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, it's so you were already dabbling in real estate by handling all of the things you just said with your family business. So you got your license not that long ago, and then did you first join a team or did you start on your own? I know in New York, I've spoken to a few agents. There's a lot of agents that are on teams. So how did you get started? What was your start?
My team leader, who I've had since the beginning, was my mother's real estate agent in New York City. When I was in
Oh, nice.
college, my mom immigrated to New York and she found her agent, Grace, through her bank. Her private banker at HSBC said, "Oh, you can talk to Grace, she'll help you." So I remember being maybe 21 years old, and my mom said, "I want to buy this apartment. Can you come and take a look?" I was a college student. I was like, "Ah, do I have to come all the way uptown?" She was looking in the Upper West Side, and I met Grace, my future mentor, at that time.
No,
And when
that
I was 29 or 30, almost turning 30, I said to my mom, "I want to do real estate full time. Can you introduce me again to Grace?" And that was 9 years later. So
Wow. Oh, that was 9 years later. Okay, I was trying to keep up with your how old you were and where you were. Okay, so you were about 30 when you started, and when I got back into I got my license at 25, but I didn't do it, and then about 28, 29, 28, I started doing rentals before I started doing sales. But it's always interesting. There's a few of my guests I've interviewed. A few started right out of college. Most of them had other careers, had big careers, teachers, someone was in the police force, someone worked for SWAT, someone worked in the fitness industry for a long time. But you and I are kind of, we started around the same time, not having any big careers before starting into real estate. So I think it's good to start. I mean, at the time, it seemed for me, I felt like it was later as I was 30, because I thought after I graduated from Cal Berkeley, I should have some big job, which I had no idea what that would be. And so getting into it now, looking back, that was young. But, at that time, I wasn't thinking it was young. I'm like, oh, I should already be in my career. How did you feel when you started real estate when you were 30?
Well, first of all, you're still young. You look and sound young, and I don't know how you squeeze all those years of experience into. But I knew that when I was almost 30 that I was looking for a new path. I was grateful for the journey I was able to have with my own translation business, bringing it to a stage where I had at one point having had 28 or so contractors that I was managing and building
Wow. That was,
over two,
that was,
over $200,000 of annual sales at one point at the height. But I didn't
that's
want.
amazing.
Thank you. I didn't think I could keep doing it because part of my personality was not being fulfilled, which is the part where I enjoy talking with people. A lot of doing translations, even though I had contractors, I was the person checking all their work. I had to spend a lot of time quality controlling. And there were days I would not speak a word to anyone. And I love talking to people. So
I can't imagine you not being able to interact with people. You're very social from the short time I've watched you.
thank you. So I thought I've always been interested in real estate. It can't hurt to just try it. I will get a license first. I got it online during Zoom. I did online live Zoom classes, 8 hours a day for 10 days. And we had a whole group of us online. Our teacher, kudos to him, yes. Um, I don't know how he talked for 8 hours a day for 10 days straight. But I passed the exams, thankfully. And the next month, I was starting at Douglas Elliman on the Grace Chang team. And
Wow.
I was giving it a try. I didn't know what I would find. And the reputation of agents can sometimes be like bad. And I didn't know what's true and what's not. A lot of people look down on agents, think that we don't do anything, and you know, maybe you only need a high school degree. You don't need to be that educated. So I didn't know, but I really wanted to try it because I had been Zillow surfing, or we say street easy surfing, for a whole year during the pandemic, just looking at apartments online. So, and now that I've been in the business 3 years, I can say that yes, there might be agents out there that warrant our bad reputation, but I've worked with incredible people that I learned so much from, and I deeply respect. So I respect
That's
the
very
choice that
true.
I made.
Oh, good. Well, no, it's great. And it's true. There are a lot of, you'll run into some agents that give us a bad name, and it's a bummer because we work so hard and we really care. And a lot of us, do really work hard for our clients, and it's part of who we are, and what we do is part of who we are. And it's all one and the same. And so when you have people who kind of just, I don't know, mail it in, or they don't really care, they're just worried about getting a buck. And someone the other day was just not one of our agents was presenting an offer, and the agent said, don't present the offer if you're going to put a contingency. in it. And, a lot of times in our market, we don't put contingencies, but this was a different house in a different area. And there was no other offers. And he's like, don't even present the offer. I don't even want your offer if you're going to put a contingency. That was not right. That seller could have lost a deal over how that agent was representing that seller. It was just kind of upsetting, because it's like, you just make agents look really bad. And we all work together. Typically, agents work together. Colleagues, not competitors, is one of my taglines. And like you said, you've met a lot of wonderful agents, and I get to meet new agents every week from around the globe, and it's so fun and fascinating. And you know, it does a disservice to our vocation. But it's not unlike a doctor. There's doctors that aren't good too. So anyway, all right, do you recall how you got your first transaction, and any of the details in it that you'd like to share?
Yes, it is my mother. It was the apartment that my mother bought with my mentor 9 years prior. My mother had been
Okay.
renting it out for 2 years during the pandemic because she moved across the street to another building. She loves that block. And my mother and I have been talking about potentially selling it for her. So that was my first exclusive listing. My mom came
Oh,
into
wow.
our office, had sat in the conference room and negotiated the commission.
Ah, oh my God. She wasn't going to make it easy on you.
No, and she did everything as I soon will learn when working with other people. Every seller will ever do. You know, all the things that you wish your mother wouldn't do in your first transaction, including um, we put it on the market for 2 weeks. I hadn't had I had showings, but I didn't have an offer yet. And then we had a lot of interest all of a sudden. And um, offer I received was a cash offer that was really very good. So I brought it to my mother, and she accepted the offer. We negotiated a bit. She accepted the offer. Contract was out. Contract was almost ready to be signed, and my mother wanted to pull out. She didn't want to sell anymore.
Oh my God.
So that was my first experience. We talked it through. I tried. I was mad. I tried to not take it personally. I knew it wasn't about me, but I also felt like, can you just support me? But I know that that's not her job. She already gave me this shot, and it was now it was up to me to figure out what's going on. What is she feeling? Can I help her find more clarity? So I put my professional hat on. I remember I was on my rooftop having this conversation with her, and I just told myself, do not act as a daughter right now. Act as an agent. What would you do? And we sold at that very good price. And then the interest rates, this is at the end of 2021. And I told her, I said, the feds are saying they're going to raise interest rates. The next 2 years, nothing in her building with that same size sold even nearly as high. They were sold 70,000 or 10, almost 10% less. She's now today thanking
Wow.
me.
Oh, that's so sweet. I was going to ask you. I didn't know if I should ask you or not, but she's thanking you.
She is. She was
That's
like,
so
and
sweet.
and there was some potential like increases in maintenance that might be coming, and I have been talking with the lawyers about due diligence. I was talking with managing agents. I learned fast thanks to my team leader telling me what to look for. So I shared that with my mom, and I remember last year I live in the same neighborhood as my mother because that was one of her requests, and I agree. I saw a neighbor of hers, and I said hi to him, and he said, "Oh yeah, your mom sold at just the right time because we were slapped with many assessments after she left."
Wow.
That
Oh
is
my
luck.
gosh.
I did some
That
work. I was careful, but it was also luck.
but you put your hat on, not you took your daughter hat on and put your business hat on. And I mean, you had to do it. Well, congratulations. That wasn't easy. It didn't sound like it all. So, okay, aside from your family, let's move on because when I'm doing the podcast, I'm always thinking about my 25-year-old self when I was starting out in real estate, and I was in for about a year and then got out and then went back into it. You know, how let's I want to share with your relatively new agent. So, how do you go about meeting clients, and what types of organizations or social groups are you involved in?
So I am extremely fortunate that my sphere of influence is primarily in New York because I moved here 15 years ago for university. And I am very lucky that my college friends and their friends continue to trust me with their huge decisions, and I reach them through social media. It's uh, it's the way my generation sort of chat with each other and keep up with what's happening in each other's lives. I don't get phone calls from a friend saying I'm engaged. I see it on Instagram, and then I call them. So
Oh,
I post.
that's interesting. I never really thought of it that way.
So once I started becoming an agent, I started putting out social media content of apartments I was seeing, of market updates, and some tips. And I started getting Facebook messages and DMs from people I've known when I was younger who added me on Facebook or Instagram. We were in college together, but we haven't talked since we graduated. But they reached out and they said, "Can you help me with an apartment purchase, or can you help me sell my place?" So that's how it got started, and I think that level of trust is so precious, and I value it so much, and I always make sure that I'm here if somebody just has a question. Some people have said maybe you're too generous with your time, but I
No.
know that our time is our only commodity, but we also need to be generous and be helpful because it's not always about how much money you can make. You can never predict that in this career. It's always about if I can help someone because they don't know how to find an apartment, but they can't really afford an agent. I give them some advice. I take 20 minutes. It doesn't cost me much, and it's not even about down the line they could refer someone to me. It makes me feel good as a person to have helped this person. So I think that helps me get more referrals.
Absolutely. No, I wrote a couple real estate books, and I remember this guy once said to me, "Why do you do all this stuff?" I was speaking to agents, and I wasn't going to get anything from the agents. I was just speaking to the agents and talking about the book and real estate, and we had invited them there to come, and there wasn't any return for me. It was in my local market, and the guy was like, "Why do you do all this? Why do you help so many people? Why do you always why are you there for everyone?" And I said, because it just feels good. It's a way to give back. And I never know what things come to you in all different ways, shapes, sizes, forms. It just feels good to give back. And he really couldn't get it because some people really feel there's has to be a monetary exchange. And I've never felt that way. And I never really understood it. It was just that it was just part of me to give back. And now I can say 30 years later, it works. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a client on the phone, and I truly mean this. I can never lie. I just always want to help people, and she's like, "Well, I may not be ready. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an empty nester." And I said, "That doesn't matter. If I'm happy to come, whether you sell or not. I'm happy to come give you pointers on what you could do to your house, whether you stay or you move. It doesn't matter to me." I sent her a few listings in some areas. I said, "It doesn't matter if you're going to sell today, next year, or never. I'm here to help you." And it feels good. That's the only way I can describe it. And if someone wants my help and I can help, I can't help in other things. I can't diagnose things, and I don't have skills in all ways. But for real estate, or where we provide a lot of resources for people. So always happy to share whatever I can. And it's really nice when people reach out to you and they don't even know you, but they say, I know you know of a person who can help me with this. And happy to oblige. So anyway, let's stop there for a minute, jump to commercial break, and we will be right back with Judy Zhou of NYC. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. We're here with Judy Zhou of the Big Apple, and we're going to dive in a little deeper into the areas, the neighborhoods, the cities she specializes in. So I know New York is a little different than a lot of the areas where we have different towns that we service in cities. Tell us the areas that you specialize in. I know it's a big city, and I don't know if you could cover it all, but maybe you do.
So I cover Manhattan and Brooklyn. And yes, they are already big neighborhoods, but I do make a point of jumping on subways, buses, ferries to get there because I want to make sure that I am seeing every property with my buyer client, even if it takes me 2 hours or more there and back.
Wow. I mean, that's hard because I'm spoiled. In Northern California, I can jump in my car and I'm in a pretty small area, but after a while, I guess it does get a little old, but I'm in a small area, so I'm not, I could get there very quickly. When I'm working in LA, there's definitely a drive, but I don't, I mean, to get in a subway and, you don't know traffic and then to jump on a ferry, that just seems so difficult. And you probably get there, by the time you get there, you might show the house or the condo or the apartment for 15 minutes and then all the way back. I mean,
Yeah.
is that difficult? Does that take some getting used to? Do you feel like you're wasting your time? I mean, I'm always moving and I'd be like, oh my God, I just went an hour and now I'm done in 5 minutes.
So I'm sure you do this too. When you're in your car, you can be on the call, right? I do role play calls daily with my Douglas Elliman colleagues. And when I'm on the ferry, I can be on a call. When I'm on the subway, on a bus, I usually am writing emails. So I'm drafting a social media post, so I'm editing a video. So much so that I have, in busy days, forgotten to get off at my stop. Like, it just happened yesterday. I was finishing up an email to a new seller client. I was giving them some comps and telling them what I found from the managing agent and lender for pre-approving the building. And when I looked up, I was past the place where I was supposed to get off to have dinner with my friend. So no, I never feel like it's a waste of time. The only difficulty is if I have to get on calls with clients that I can't miss, and I have a 1 hour journey, I sometimes have to pay to be in an Uber so I can take the call because you
Right,
lose cell phone reception on the subways. So sometimes
right.
I will have like 80, $70 Uber bills, which you're not sure if that trip alone was gonna yield that money. But you can't think of your business in that way when you're in real estate.
Well, that's
I just
so
wish I was taking the subway.
no, I've definitely been driving around and I'm like, wait, where am I going? Like you totally forget because you're constantly working, but it does take a lot. So you're a really good multitasker. And I think with it, because when I started real estate, there was no internet and there's definitely no social media. So I guess with your generation, it's really, you guys are able to do stuff. Well, you learned on your phone. So you do everything on your phone. You can send comps on your phone. So that makes sense. You're absolutely not wasting time. You are actually working just out of the office on the road and on the go. So that makes a lot of sense. um, so, so you work a lot of areas, but when it comes to maybe farming or marketing, do you market a certain area? I mean, you can't market the whole, all of Manhattan and all of Brooklyn. So when you are honing in on something, tell us what a marketing plan might look like.
So I have, in the first 3 years of my career, honed in on myself as a first time home buyer
Okay.
specialist. And being a first time home buyer specialist is my area of expertise. Because I want to be there for my friends. Basically, we're in our early 30s, we're getting married, having kids, and when they call me, I don't want to tell them, no, I'm not going to go to this neighborhood. I'm going to send you to someone else. If I feel that I have enough knowledge of that, base knowledge of that neighborhood. So um, I think that you can learn an area very quickly, and I have decided that the Manhattan and Brooklyn areas are what I will learn. So every week, for each of my active first-time home buyers, I will send them market activity reports that I digest, and I spit out the keys, the valuable information of how many new listings are in this neighborhood. Let's say I have a client looking in three neighborhoods, I have another client looking in three other neighborhoods. I will spend hours on my Fridays making sure I know what's happening in those markets for that specific buyer. And they find it all very valuable. And usually we'll track the new listings, the price drops, the in contracts, and the sold, and the permanently off market, which means it didn't sell and expired. So through doing it for many years, I am proud to say that currently I feel very comfortable in most areas in Manhattan. I've been to hundreds of buildings already. When you're with a first time home buyer, you might be seeing 40 to 70 places before they decide
Wow.
where which
This,
neighborhood they want to buy because it's the first time. So it's the best way for me to, as a newer agent, quickly learn about the inventory. So I quickly became somebody who my friends love to test me. Whenever we go out to dinner, they'll show me a picture like, where's this? Which building is this? Which
oh my
lobby is this?
God, that was
And I
terrible.
usually pass.
Well, hopefully it's all in good fun because New York is an awfully big city and there's so many buildings, which means there's so many millions of units. It's so did you say 40 to 70? They see 40 to
That
70.
some of them, yes, not yeah. I think on average 30 or so, but there are some people that would like to see more, and I'm always down to see more. I just
Well,
love seeing apartments. That's
yeah,
how I got into the
I want
business, so it's fun for me.
point out I want to point out something you said. So yes, some people want to cut corners, real estate agents want to cut corners, and it's not so good. It's not helpful. But what you're doing is that you are spending the time showing these units, but at the same time that you're showing 40 to 70 units to multiple people, you are getting to know those buildings, you're getting to know those supers, you're getting to know those managers, you're getting to know agents, you are getting to know so many people that makes what you're doing so invaluable. It's your advanced degree because you're getting to know all the different players. There's so many different players in real estate. It's not just going and showing the property, but you're getting to know neighborhoods, you're getting to know coffee shops, you're getting to know restaurants in the neighborhood. So it's a
You're
huge
absolutely right.
education. So that is so important what you just said. It's not a waste of time. Do some of your buyers or a lot of the buyers, I know you show them as well, but do they also go on open houses as part of that 40 to 70
Um,
properties?
we would go to the open houses together. The only times, and it maybe happened twice in the last 3 years across all my clients, that they went to an open house without me. But that would be because they requested to go without me. They oftentimes will say, I would prefer to wait for you to come back. If somehow I'm away and something pops up, then we usually will FaceTime when they're there. And then immediately when I come back from, a weekend away or a holiday or something, we'll go and see it together. But I'm already on the phone with the listing agent before my client goes. I'm like just checking in and giving them some background, and then after the showing I'm talking with the listing agent so that I'm still very present if I am so
Right.
unfortunately on vacation or something. Which you always, when you go on vacation, things happen.
What's the best? On my birthday, we were in Mexico City and I put the deal together in Los Angeles and we were in Mexico. But yeah, and so now I used to stress out about going on vacation and I'm like, no, this is good. Something's gonna sell. Like this is really good. So it's like no, this is a good sign, but it's true. It
Exactly.
happens to all of us. And,
Yeah.
so, but, people are like, oh, you're always working. It's like, yeah, but it's what we love to do. And it's fun and it's great, especially when you put something together for a client. I always like to put the deals together for the client. We do work with a lot of sellers, and I love it's so important to me to help them move to their next chapter, and they can't move to their next chapter until we get that house sold. So there's nothing more fulfilling than helping them move on, because as you know, it's so stressful. So you're working with a lot of first time home buyers. I'm working with a lot of, just kind of evolves. You're a newer agent, you're working with a lot of buyers. Eventually they turn into sellers, and you find your niche. But I also want to go back and just highlight, just for newer agents, is finding a niche is so important. And you are clearly have a niche of these first time home buyers. It's your age group, it's the people you know. What's so fantastic about your business as a new agent, is that people are direct messaging you, they're Facebooking. I mean, Messenger, I kind of stay away from on Facebook, because I've had people from Nairobi asking me for money. I mean, so I just, I mean, I used to friend everyone on Facebook, and then I was getting all these crazy people calling me. So I don't look at Messenger, because it's always, it's not people I really know. So it's, I just was, when Facebook started and social media started, I kind of was like, oh, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so I'm going to friend everyone. Well, it kind of doesn't work so well in real estate, because then you have people you don't really know, and you can't, answer questions of things that are irrelevant. But I love the fact that you are embracing social media. I mean, I do embrace it. I'm just not fantastic at it, probably because of my age. But I love the fact that, and this is good for young people who are getting into real estate, and you guys all know that, but just social media is so important, and it's such a great way to connect with people. And it's so great that people are reaching out through social. I still get phone calls. I still get the old fashioned phone call.
It's the best. When I first got into real estate, Douglas Elliman has some trainings for new agents, and they said, pick up the phone. And I said, what do you mean? I can't just call my friend. I can barely call my husband in the middle of the workday. He's gonna be like, texting me, "What's up?"
What's wrong?
But over the last 3 years, I have tried my best to embrace calling people, especially when a deal is live. I have to call the agent on the other side. I have to call the managing agent, and I realized that calling there is no FaceTime. Face to face is the best. E- Video call is second best, and then phone calls. And a lot of misunderstandings and everything fade away, and people just feel so much closer. Like I've never met Kim in person. I can't believe I've never met her. When she brought it up, I thought that's not true, because we are on videos all the time.
And you
Because she
guys live
teaches
in New York, which is
exactly, but she's in Brooklyn Heights, which where I work in, but we have crazy schedules. We're entrepreneurs. We don't know where we'll be in the next hour
yeah,
sometimes.
I know.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, so phone call, picking up the phone is still the best, and I have to learn from you to do that more, because sometimes I'm still afraid that my friends, think I'm crazy, or that they would think I'm trying to sell, because normally I would just text them, but because if sometimes they say you should touch up with your sphere of influence, calling them they might be like, what's wrong? So I'm still trying to find that balance.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, so there is that balance, but so that was about that part. But when you're in a deal and you're working with so you guys, I guess, are millennials, is that right? So when you're working with in a deal, sometimes you just have to get, and this is for me as an older person, I get frustrated. I'm like, oh my God, they won't pick up the phone, but I can't text everything in our deals. That there's so many nuances. It's not just yes, no, this, that. It's like there's a whole explanation that's going to go on. I can't just have a text conversation. So it's super important, yes, for marketing and connecting the way you do. that's been super great getting business. But when you're in the deal, the art of the deal, you really need to communicate and verbally speak. And yes, it's nice to be in person, but if you can't, at least you have to have a conversation. So many things will come out of that conversation, not just when you're talking to your own client, but when you're speaking to the agent on the other side. Things could get lost in translation and it could really screw up a deal. So if there's something that's very important, or you need to clarify, or you need to hit home, like I need to pick up the phone. I've been texting with an agent. We have a closing next week and I need to pick up the phone because we've been texting, but I don't really feel like we have the final thing is what I need, a final word on our closing. And so I want to connect with her over the phone, not just by text. And I want to confirm that we have a meeting of the mind. So, yes, there's a time for social media and there's a time to text, but there's also a time to pick up the phone.
Yes, I completely agree. There's so much
Okay.
misunderstanding in
Yeah.
text
So
that you don't
much.
realize, and when you pick up the phone, you find out things that you didn't realize were happening. But that person maybe didn't even expect to tell you, but the conversation went that way, and now all of a sudden you know so much. So I always call when I represent buyers. I always call listing agents, and we just chat, and I end up learning so much about the seller's motivations, or just the situation. Even if I ask them a question and they don't respond directly, I can probe a little more and find out a little more. That's the investigative journalism stuff that
Exactly. Your curiosity as an interviewer.
exactly.
They don't know what they don't know, and they don't even know that the next question that's going to come up, or their next thing that will, they won't even know until you start having a dialogue. Once you have a dialogue, there's so many other things. When the client said yesterday, how long is it going to take? I said, it's going to take, if you have questions, or if questions are, you come up because of something we talk about, it's just a dialogue, you're communicating. But yeah, it's super important because you can't foresee what's going to come up, but stuff always comes up, as you know. All right, we got to jump through some more questions. Can you provide any advice or tips for new agents entering the real estate business?
Know your inventory. It's what
Good.
Debbie you picked up on. Go see as many apartments or houses as you can, and not and learn what's new on the market, what went in contract, what price cuts, what the absorption rate is. Know what the macro economy is doing. Continue to learn and educate yourself, and practice with role plays every day.
Practice with what?
Role playing too. Gotta
Oh, role
practice with.
play.
Very
Okay.
important. I used to think it was really awkward and uncomfortable, but Douglas Elliman has daily role play calls at 11:30 a.m. and I used to think it's impossible. I can't make it there. But there was a period when I was a little sick, that I was feeling a little not motivated, and I was at home. I was still in my pajamas. It was 11:30 a.m. and I one day I just logged on to this role play call, and I felt so supported. This job can be so lonely
Right.
sometimes. We work for ourselves. Everyone is not really on the same team, but on that role play call, I felt like it was emotional support, and that I wasn't speaking at all. I had my camera off because I was in my pajamas, but I was hearing top agents sharing their difficulties, and I felt less ashamed of myself. And I think that finding a community and having emotional support from other agents is also very important.
No, it's true. It is. You're on your own, and you don't know what other people are going through. So when you especially when the market's not great, and you start having sharing stories. Or one of the things the other day, someone said, one of our agents called and said, what's going, the market, I can't sell this house. What could I do? I said, well, we were having trouble with a couple of our listings, and I just had them feng shuied, and two of them had been on the market for a while, and both of them got multiple offers while we were out of town.
Whoa, who's your feng shui master? That's pretty amazing.
I will text you my feng shui person, and yeah, it works. I believe it. All right, we're going to
That's
jump to
amazing.
commercial break. We'll be right back with Judy Zhou of the Big Apple. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. We're here with Judy Zhou of New York City. Judy specializes in Manhattan as well as Brooklyn. And I want to say, as she's a newer agent, a couple years in the business, right? Couple years, right?
3 years.
3 years. So 3 years in the business, and she is doing everything right. She's communicating with her clients. She is spending time with her clients. She is embracing social media. She's taking courses and training courses with her company and outside of her company, and she's really understanding the market. And I think that is so important for any agent. A lot of agents don't do that. And I just want to commend you on all of those things you're doing. So 3 years in the business, what are 3 to 5 things a new agent or seasoned agent? Now, agents like myself, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't social media. We had to embrace new tools. It wasn't like we had to, we got to, but a lot of agents who were who were like me coming into this new wave of the new world, I guess I'd say, they didn't want to embrace social media. Some people still fight it. They didn't want to embrace technology. They just wanted to be, do it how they were doing before. So whether you're a new or seasoned agent, we can both do the same things. So give me 3 to 5 things you would recommend agents doing.
So I think that my first tip is to have your system set up early. And that's something I learned from running my own translation business for 6 years. I think by the fourth year is when I realized that I needed to have a bookkeeping system because the books were getting too complicated. I wasn't keeping up with that. I didn't remember. And it made the tax season so much easier. But catching up on 3, 4 years of bookkeeping was awful. So have your system set up, your CRM, your database. I am suffering from not having done it properly. Um, I have merged my mailing lists between agents and my personal sphere of influence without tagging them. So I have 20,000 contacts that I'm, with some help trying to parse through so that I can send out my first newsletter. It sounds easy, but it's grueling. And so don't make that mistake. Have your database set up from day one. Do not mix your personal sphere of influence emails with the agents that you're going to be e-blasting your properties to every day. So that's the.
I
I guess that's
agree.
the
The
second advice would be that.
first thing we tell agents is to get your sphere of influence together, and it's true. You're hearing it from Judy right now. She's a newer agent. Get that sphere of influence organized, tagged, separated. Do you use, I know I'm interrupting you, you have 3 to 5 things. Do you use a certain CRM to keep this organized?
We have a free CRM provided by Douglas Elliman. It's called WeChat Studio Pro. Does Corcoran have it too? I don't know because they might be developed.
No,
Okay,
but
I
I,
use
30
that.
business have never used a CRM. I'm ashamed to say. If I just, yeah, have not. I do a newsletter once in a while, but I think that agents should start with the CRM. But we probably didn't have them back then, so maybe I'm not so. But they are important, and we do have them. I started to use one, and then to set it up, but then I found it time consuming. But in the end, I think if you can get your systems in place and use the CRM, by all means, use it.
I don't do it perfectly, but if I am getting a new client referral, I will put it in there. If I'm on a intake call or you know a call with a client discussing an offer, I put all my notes in that client's note section, and it also
Right.
keeps track of all the emails I've sent them. So it's not perfect, but it's better than not having it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Number two. What's number two?
Well, I think the CRM thing. Let's just make that number two because it's a system, but I think database is a separate issue. I think
Oh,
that people
database
should
then.
yeah, exactly, systems, bookkeeping, all that stuff, and then database, CRM, sphere of influence. And I think number three, I'm only gonna have three tips.
Okay.
Number three is please preserve your mind and have minutes in the day where you're not looking at your phone. And the way I do that is I keep my phone outside my bedroom, and I have a sunrise alarm clock in my bedroom. So, and when I wake up in the morning, I first do my physical exercises. I have a ankle that has overstretched ligament, and if I don't work on it every day, I might be hurting it and be at risk of having to do surgery. And I do that for 30 minutes every morning and meditate a little bit while I'm doing it. And then I look at my phone. And so I make sure that my phone is not the thing I go to bed looking at and wake up looking at. I used to do that when I first started in real estate, and it made me feel very overwhelmed, and um, it made me feel bitter. It made me feel like my work was my entire life. It made me not enjoy my work as much, and it made me not enjoy my life as much. And I'm not talking about taking an hour or 2 hours off. You know, sometimes we work all day long. Sometimes we work 12 hours, even longer. But minutes, I'm talking about minutes.
Right. No, I definitely am not a scroller. I can't scroll through. I need to shut my mind off. And for us, that we watch a little TV just to shut down, but you definitely have to try to take time. So how do you generate leads and find clients out? Do you do open houses? Are there other things you do other than the social media?
I do. I go to NYU alumni events. I am a member of a Asian American, Chinese American group. Then I am one of their youth leaders or next generation leaders. And I also, through being a part of my friends' lives, baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, or sometimes just my friend invites me and a few other friends to dinner, I meet new people. And those people end up asking me real estate questions. And
Right.
I answer them not expecting anything in return. And sometimes, even if they don't work with me, they will refer somebody else to me. And with past clients, they are a constant source of my appreciation. I do holiday gifting. I've been hand delivering my gifts to their building, and I usually try to go when they're there so I can have FaceTime with them and see what they've done with their new home, because they're usually first time home buyers and we've seen the home before it was theirs, and it was great to see how they've made it their own. And they always refer other clients to me as well. So a lot
Nice.
of, I would say, like social networking events, and so social events and networking events. And I wish I could do a little bit more uh, events to host, gatherings, client appreciations, film screening on my rooftop, or just something fun and highlight local businesses. But you can't do everything all the time, and I know I have to pace myself. I'm
Yeah,
3 years in, and I have at least 30 more years to go, at least.
at least. So we've been talking a lot about buyers, and you're an amazing buyer's agent, first-time home buyer's agent. So let's flip over real quick to the seller side. When you're working with with sellers, I'm curious where are sellers moving? Are they moving up? Are they moving out? Or are they moving to specific places, your sellers that you've been working with?
They tend to be moving out, in my experience, and I I had this past year where I went on a lot more pitches for sellers than I got. But I didn't lose to another agent. The sellers very often decided that they were not going to sell in this market, and that they were going to either rent it out or keep living there and make it work, even though it was getting too small for their growing family. Because, especially for people in Manhattan who bought in the last 7 or so years at a peak, 7 years ago, Manhattan real estate was at a peak. If they try to sell in the last 2 years with the interest rate so high, and the suburb areas around Manhattan, and including Brooklyn and Queens, etc., prices are up. Manhattan's prices have come down, and
Oh.
most sellers are very unwilling and understandably so to accept that they would lose money in a transaction.
Right. No, that makes sense. So when you have worked with sellers and sold houses, what ways are you marketing the house? And I know it's different in other areas. Like for us in the Bay Area, usually our sellers will move out of the house. We'll do a whole prepare a home for market. Usually I'll do floors and carpet and sometimes light fixtures and paint and staging. Do your sellers mostly move out and do stage, or are they living there?
It's a great question. I recently had put a deal in contract where the seller was still living there, and it was it was a lot of prep work with the seller and making sure that the apartment is going to present in the best light possible. And I spent a lot of time, and the seller spent a lot of time before showings, before photographs and everything, making sure that there was no cat hair on the floor and everything is put away. And we did stage it, and I was very pleased with the outcome because we were able to get in contract after 2 weeks of being on the market, and it was a listing that a previous agent had for 2 years
Wow.
without. I
What
spent a
what
month preparing it with the
yeah,
list with the seller. We had a whole strategy. I had a
okay.
10-step pre-launch strategy, which I will not go into because it will take a while, and it included getting it cleaned up. Yes, you can continue to live here, but we're going to sand the floors. You don't have to replace them. We're going to do fresh paint. We're going to get new furnitures, and we're going to
Oh,
get furnitures that make the size of and the colors of the apartment pop. And it was on Fifth Avenue. It was in the Langham Hotels residences. It's
wow.
luxury.
Oh my
So
God.
I wanted to make sure people walked in and they felt luxury. So, and we did it cheaply. My client is a filmmaker and a producer, so she produced like the whole set. It was like her apartment with her set. I told her what I was looking for. We talked it out, and then we bought everything online together. And she had someone come in and install her furnitures, and it looked so good, and they made
Well,
all the photos and the videos look so much better. And because I'm Kim's student, I pay a lot of attention to video marketing. uh, some of my colleagues have said, oh, I don't think videos are necessary. Maybe in their experience they didn't need it to sell, but I enjoy making videos. So I ordered a 7 video package for this listing. It was going to be a 2-minute regular video of me being normal and showing the apartment and showing the neighborhood. And then there were going to be 6 1 minute long reel clips. Some of them more fun. One of them was pretending that the cat in the apartment was the owner, the home meowner, the homeowner, and the cat was giving us a tour of his
oh, how
apartment.
cute.
And I bought ads. I bought Instagram ads. I bought ads on Google, and I also was tracking it. But before we could post all 7 videos, the home sold. So I think that you know,
Wow.
I think it worked.
So first of all, I know we have a few more seconds here, but did the other agent that had it for 2 years, did he or she not suggest that, or was the homeowner at the time not willing to do that? All
I'm
the
not
work you did.
sure. I didn't ask her. Oh, didn't your previous person tell you to
Yeah.
do this? I didn't get into it. I was just I was grateful that she was receptive to what I wanted to do.
Well, it's amazing. Well, I want you to send me the videos. I'd love to see them. I think
Well,
that's magnificent. And so Instagram ads, I've never really done the Instagram ads or Google ads. So I mean, yes, it exposed you and the property a lot. Do you know where the buyer came from?
I think the buyer came from our version of Zillow, which is Street Easy.
Streets.
I think
Yeah.
I got a text from the buyer, and I assume he saw the listing on Street Easy, but I didn't actually ask him where he
Right.
saw it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. He was unrepresented, so I wasn't sure.
Right. So yeah, so I think I love the idea of doing the little videos and the reels and stuff. And so you hired someone who took you through all of this and shot the cat and you, and I think
Yeah.
that's
And then we
great.
went to the neighborhood and I showed them where would you go eat around here, and here are my favorite restaurants. Because, you know, real estate is not just about the house or the roof over your head. It's a lifestyle, because we're not
That was the next question.
it's not it's
Exactly.
not investment. I do have investment clients too, and I myself, my family are real estate investors, and I look at investments too. But when I'm selling a primary home, or something that could be a primary home and a great investment in this case on Fifth Avenue, um, I want to show people, even for an investor, they want to know what's nearby, right? What's the closest grocery store? What's the closest subways? And this home was 10 minutes walk to 15 subway stations. So 15 subway lines at 3 subway stations, to Penn Station, to all the trains, to Grand Central Station, to all the trains there, commuter rails. And I wanted to highlight all of that, but you can't sort of have a too long of a property video. So I included a little bit in there, but there were separate videos that I was preparing to launch, and I had, because the home had already sold. But I
No,
think that hopefully I can get more listings in that area,
right.
with the track record, and the neighborhood videos will still be useful.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the things that I tell agents when they say, well, how much, an agent was asking me, how much do you spend per listing? I said, I don't, it's not that way for me. If there's a great property to market or we have a great concept, I will market the heck out of it, because that, like this property for you, those videos will live on and you can use those for a long time to come. You can also showcase those to get new listings. So you don't skimp on the marketing, use professionals to photograph your properties. And that was a brilliant work that you did there, getting those videos and reels and Google ads, and that will last. That will be marketing for you forever. You will use those. I still use some of my favorite videos from a long time ago. Well, thank you so much, Judy. This flew by. We could talk another 2 hours easily. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any last words or words of wisdom for agents that are listening today?
I just want to say thank you, Debbie, for this opportunity and for what you're doing for the agent community by putting these podcasts on every week. And there are great tips that you shared that I learned from, and I want to continue to be a part of your orbit. And my advice to everyone else is to follow Debbie and follow the podcast and continue to learn from you, because you're
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you when I come out in October.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on Mastering the Art of Real Estate. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern, on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.